Hiya, it's Robin here. I don't think we've been to Dictionary Corner since last summer. So, pause in Dictionary Corner to read the definition of the word endurance. Ask someone to read it out loud. World records are often acts of endurance. Here are 3 amazing records for you to guess the length of. Pause on each one, then the answer will appear. The idea of keeping on going sounds like a good quality to have. One explorer named his most famous ship the Endurance. Little did Sir Ernest Shackleton know that his attempt to cross the Antarctic would result in 28 men being stuck on the ice for 18 months. Here's a quick version of his story.
In exploration, the successes we celebrate are the sum of failures large and small. In 1901, Ernest Shackleton set out to explore the Antarctic, only to get frostbite and scurvy, and was forced to return home. So in 1907, he set out to explore the Antarctic, and failed in his goal of reaching the South Pole. So in 1914, he again set out to explore the Antarctic, only to become trapped in the ice. But he turned this epic fail into epic by sailing 800 nautical miles in a small lifeboat, walking 32 miles over mountainous terrain, and organizing a rescue for his men. After nearly 2 years, he managed to bring all 27 members of his crew home alive. Truly epic. Shackleton today remains an example of steady leadership in the harshest conditions. A legacy of epic, built on epic fail.
Did you notice that his endurance was built on failures, but he didn't give up? Failure is essential. It teaches us, we learn from it, then we try again. And that's how we build endurance. Now, if you've got 10 minutes extra to spare and you want to hear the full story of Shackleton's expedition, then there's a link in the description below. One story in the Bible from the Old Testament is about a man who wanted to rebuild the walls of his special city. Watch the story of Nehemiah, and then there are some questions at the end for you to discuss.
God's story, Nehemiah. So part of God's story is about a guy named Nehemiah, and it goes like this. Remember God's family? They were called the Israelites because they lived in, you guessed it, Israel. But some of them lived far away from their home. And one of those guys was Nehemiah. He lived in Persia and worked for the king. One day, his brother told him that a city in Israel called Jerusalem was suffering. And many people there weren't following God anymore, and their city wasn't in very good shape. Nehemiah cried, "God, you are wonderful, but your family's home is in trouble. Please help us. When I serve the king his wine today, make him pleased with me and have him do what I ask." Later, when Nehemiah served the king's wine, the king noticed that Nehemiah looked sad. So the king asked why. Nehemiah told him about Jerusalem and asked if he could go back to rebuild the wall. The king could have killed Nehemiah for asking to leave, but instead, he said go. He even helped. That's because God heard Nehemiah's prayer and answered it. Anyway, Nehemiah went to work rebuilding the wall, but little did he know he was going to need to ask for a lot more help from God. See, God and his family have always had enemies, and these enemies wanted to stop Nehemiah and the people helping him. First, they made fun of them. So Nehemiah prayed again. He said, "God, some people hate us. please get rid of them, and went back to work. Now, God does hear and answer every prayer, but sometimes not in the way we expect or even in the way we want. And at first, it seemed like God wasn't answering this one at all, because when the enemies saw that Nehemiah was still building, they planned an attack. But Nehemiah trusted that God heard his prayer even if it didn't feel like it. And God did! He caused some people to overhear the enemy's plan and warn Nehemiah. Even though the enemies were still after him, Nehemiah planned a defense and told the others, "Don't be afraid of your enemies. Remember the Lord. He is great and powerful." And on they worked, building, building, building. The closer the wall got to being finished, the more Nehemiah's enemies realized they couldn't stop him by making fun of him or by attacking him. Time for something else. They tried everything. They sent messages to get Nehemiah to leave the wall and meet them. He wouldn't. They hoped Nehemiah's hands would get weak, but Nehemiah had asked God to make his hands stronger. They even paid a priest to ask Nehemiah to leave the wall and come to the temple. But Nehemiah trusted God more than anyone else, even the priest, and he refused to stop doing the job God had given him. Well, finally, the wall was done. God's family got to go home again, and Nehemiah's enemies found that nothing stops God's plans. The Israelites celebrated and praised God, and as they praised, they realized how much their sins had hurt God, and they felt terrible. They told God they were sorry and thanked him for helping them. Then they made a brand new promise to follow him, and Jerusalem was once again a safe place where people honored God. And that's the story of Nehemiah.
Who knew that Bruno Mars recorded a song for Sesame Street? It's called Don't Give Up, and it reminds us to keep on going, keep on trying, and this builds endurance. Enjoy!
When you wanna do something that's new and it seems really, really hard to do, you feel like quitting, you feel you're through. Well, I have some advice for you. Don't give up, keep on trying, you're gonna make it. I ain't lying, don't give up, don't ever quit. Try and you can do it. Don't give up, yeah. If you want to catch a ball but you're having no luck at all, the ball hits your head, it hits your nose, it hits your belly, your chin and toes. Well, try again. Keep on trying, and soon then you'll put your hands out in the air. You'll catch that ball, yes, this I swear. Don't give up, keep on going. You're on a boat, so keep on rolling. Don't give up, don't ever stop. Try, and you'll come out on top. Don't give up. You got yourself new roller skates, you put them on and you feel great. You stand up, but then you fall. Don't think you can skate at all. You get back up and then you trip. You skip and tip and slip and flip. Well, try some more, and soon you're skating across the floor. So give up, keep on moving. You're gonna get there, just keep on grooving. Don't give up, don't pack it in. Try, and you will win. Don't give up, no, don't give up. No, don't give up. No, don't give up. No, don't give up.
For our prayer and reflection time, we have a guided meditation. So watch or close your eyes and listen. It's called Weather the Storm.
Settle in your chair or in your space on the floor. You may choose to lean back a little or sit tall. Let your hands rest in your lap. Try to put a picture in your mind. There's a small tree on a small hill. There's not much else around, just the tree. In the distance, off to one side or maybe behind the tree, there's a storm approaching. Imagine that you can see the wind starting to affect the tree. The leaves and the little twigs begin to move. Then the larger branches bend just a little. Then they bend a lot. Imagine that rain or snow starts to fall, and the small tree is getting wet and is starting to really sway even more with the increasing wind. The clouds above appear to be getting darker. The tree remains strong as it bends to one side. It stays firm in the ground. In your mind, let the storm rage on and push the small tree for a few more moments. It can take it. The tree is strong. The tree's roots secure it to the ground, and the tree knows how to bend its little twigs and its large branches. It knows how to let its strong trunk sway with the push of the wind. The tree is safe. We can be like this tree. We can remain strong during challenges in our lives. We can bend, adjust, and hang on when we need to. We can be strong. We are strong. Now notice in the picture in your mind that the storm is gradually moving away. Further and further it moves from the tree. The tree's trunk straightens. The branches bounce back, and the twigs settle. A few leaves have fallen to the ground, but that's okay. The tree remains strong and calm. It weathered the storm. We can rest now. Imagine that most of the clouds drift away, and the sun peeks out. Breathe in and enjoy a long, slow out-breath.
Another wondering question for you. I wonder which 5 books would you take to a desert island? I'll leave you to discuss, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now. Bye.